Hello, guys.
Hello.
Oh. Hi all, good to see you again after the break. Welcome, Adam. I think you're new to this meeting.
Hello. Yeah. First time in any of these.
Yeah. Welcome. You can present yourself a bit later when we have started. So let's see if we got anything in Slack from anyone. No.
I spoke to Andrea before the meeting, and he was in another meeting then. I'm not sure if he's planning to join or not, but he might be a bit late, I guess.
Okay, do you think we should wait for him or?
No, I don't know if he will join, but if he does join, he might be a bit late. So let's just start.
Okay, so let's get going. I don't know, I haven't prepared anything for this meeting, any specific topic to talk about. So I'll try to wrap my head up what's current status. But if you have anything, Eric, you can start.
No, what me and Andrea are working on is the FOSDEM presentation, which needs to be recorded and uploaded by next Monday. So that's the current focus. And there are some things that might be interesting to get feedback on. I don't need to walk through the whole presentation with you. I think that will be a waste of your time. But some things that could be discussed maybe. I think one is what, from a SIG Events project perspective.
Sorry, Eric, before you continue, maybe we should just introduce Adam since.
Oh, yes, sorry. Yes, that would be good.
Yeah. So, well, we can have a round table as well for Adam, but Adam, you can start just telling us who you are and what your intention is joining us.
So I'm Adam. I'm just a graduate developer for EST, and I just joined the CTEL team to work on mostly Spinnaker, and I'm working with Jalander and Fatty. If he's not here right now, but yeah, that's pretty much it for now. I'm pretty new to open source and all of this, so be patient with me if I don't know anything, I guess. Thank you.
You're very welcome. So EST is the company that Fatty also works for, the Ericsson Software Technology. So Adam will be a developer in that company, helping out developing open source stuff.
Oh, nice.
And I see Jalander is here as well. Hi, Jalander, welcome.
I think he's not in audio yet.
Yeah, something like that. And maybe then we should present ourselves. We are some of us, or the most of us, the usual suspects here. So I'm Emil Bäckmark. Both you, Jalander, and Adam, you met me before. I work for Ericsson. Next one, whoever.
I can go next. My name is Erik. I have worked for Ericsson way back when, but now I work for a company called DoWhile, and I specialize in continuous integration and continuous delivery.
Steve Taylor. I'm with Deploy Hub and part of the Ortelius open source project as well. That's underneath the CD Foundation.
Andrea Frittoli. I work for IBM, and I'm with the Tecton project as well under the CD Foundation.
Yeah, I can go next. Matthias, working together with Emil in Ericsson, open source.
Good. And I think that was all, right? Yeah. I can also mention that Andrea and I are the ones sharing the SIG, the special interest group, which this meeting belongs to. That's the current status, at least. Okay, so now, Eric, please go on and describe.
No, as I mentioned, Andrea and I have been working on the presentation, and I think one thing that would be good to discuss a little bit is what do we want the people who see the presentation to take away from it? What should their key takeaways be? I guess one obvious one is that we would like more people to join the effort, but it might be good to try to identify like what kind of people do we want to join the effort? What is our biggest target, our main target there, just so we can say the right things. So one thing I think that Tracy has brought up is yeah, basically we need people from the other big players in the continuous delivery area to help align on events. But I don't think we can just say that in a presentation, say we're mainly looking for people who are already in big continuous delivery projects, because, and I don't think that's necessarily the only truth either, but that is at least one of the members that we would like to have, I guess.
Yeah, just to frame the context a bit, the FOSDEM conference is stated to be by developers and for developers. So it's mostly developers attending the conference. It's not as much business owners or managers, so that kind of people. It's mostly actually developers there, and of course they could be in any area. Continuous integration, continuous deployment, or delivery is just one area. And I guess the room there, is it called dev room? Is called CI/CD, right? Is it?
Yeah.
So the people attending that room is probably into CI/CD, at least in some sense.
Yeah, right now one of the big focuses of the presentation, or one of the underlying message, is that using, or when CD events is in place, there will be less work writing a lot of glue code to make things fit together, because we will support that sort of, or projects can use the CD event specification to support out-of-the-box interoperability. So that should hopefully be appealing to developers, unless they are more fond than I am of writing glue code.
Yeah, I think you should push on the term interoperability a bit as well, not just the events part, but interoperability in large, and say that the events is one way to deal with interoperability.
Yeah, I saw Andrea had a fantastic picture that I really liked from a previous presentation, where there was a bunch of logos for different tools, and there were differently colored, differently styled arrows everywhere, and that seemed like, yeah, basically seemed like glue code in some sense, or like you have to do different things to make things fit together. And our message should be, no, we can enable a future where you use one communication thing to make. But yeah, it's a good point with pushing more for interoperability. I think that goes very well in line with the message as well.
Yeah, and of
I
course,
think,
example it with events.
Oh, go ahead, Eric. Emil.
No, where's the Steve? I'm done.
So I was thinking that we could almost kind of reach out to folks to find out what their CI/CD world looks like. You know, what's your diagram? So because that would be one of the things that will really help us to narrow in when we start looking at the next events to do, if we can find a common area between different companies CI/CD process, that maybe it's around the build, for example, or maybe it's around deployments, or whatever, that if we can kind of collect a set of CI/CD diagrams, that we can use that to kind of drive us in our use cases and what to tackle next.
That's a really good point, and I think that could be appealing to some people as well. They don't have to commit to doing much work. They just need to come to us and tell their story, and we will record it and take it forward. That's a very good point.
Exactly. Record your story. you know, that would be a interesting. And I know some folks won't want to divulge the company because companies don't want to divulge how either bad they're doing or good they're doing because of different reasons. But, you know, somehow if we can make it more, allow them to be more generic.
It sounds like a very good idea. I'm wondering, because it's a virtual conference, it's a bit harder to interact with the audience, but maybe we could put like a Google form or something in the chat in parallel to as the recording is playing. We could, you know, put it out to the audience and say, well, if you...
Yeah, I think just having like one question in that form, can you just list some of the tools that you use together? And then that gives us really good input for like, okay, what problems do, or what use cases do we have for different tools that people need to have interoperable?
And I think from the presentation point of view, kind of laying out what we're doing, what we're trying to achieve, and what we need to be able to move to the next step. And to being able to move to the next step is gathering this information from folks. Yeah, and we don't have to necessarily gather that information during the conference, but being able to get them directed to a place that we can get that.
Yeah,
exactly. And I think making them push information to us might be a bit hard if it's a very complicated form or they need to write a white paper or something of a use case. So maybe it's better that we pull the information from them. So if we can more or less get some contact, just a name from them and mail address or whatever,
yeah,
that would help us to then get their use cases. We can reach out to them afterwards instead of them trying to summarize it.
Maybe the form could just be what is your contact information, and maybe just like list some of the tools that you work with together. So we have at least some starting information. We can even skip that part, but I think I have a feeling that people would be slightly more willing to give their contact information if we also asked at least one question that they thought was relevant. Otherwise, it would be like subscribing to an anonymous email list, and nobody wants to do that. So, but yeah, it's a good point. Make the form easy. That's really good.
Did we run into any personal information handling nightmare if we start asking for?
Yeah, right. So maybe they shouldn't write it in the chat or something. They can use your contacts and just simply.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think a form would be reasonably fine, at least if we state like, okay, we will delete this information after some point. I'm not sure. Yeah, but that's a good point. We don't want to run afoul of any rules or regulations.
I guess in those platforms, there is often a way to contact the other people in the conference, right? If you're somehow logged in to the conference, you can chat with the people in the conference without them revealing any other contact information. So as long as you have a name, I guess, during the conference anyway, I guess it's possible to reach out to people in the conference.
Yeah, that's
conference to conference. Communication in the conference shouldn't be a problem because everybody would have signed the appropriate legal stuff.
I actually think for FOSDEM, there is no registration required. So you might be able to lurk in on the presentations without even being registered anywhere. So that might be one drawback, if that's the case.
So let me share what we're working on with Artelius and our kind of flow diagram for our GitOps model. So this is one of the things one of our folks is putting together. It uses diagrams.net, and it basically gives you the flow, who's doing what at that level. So this is really detailed because it's going into our design doc. But if we can get just even a high level of what people are doing, it will really help us understand the different steps that they're going through. So we have kept in Argo and Ortelius and GitHub all kind of plumbed together at this level. And it's amazing how complicated GitOps becomes at scale. Oops.
Yeah, definitely. Scaling up really causes a whole different type of issues that we don't see at the beginning of things.
Yeah, I think if people find your presentation interesting, they would probably be interested in more or less booking a follow-up session with one of us and one of them in a later time slot. So I hope that should actually be a way forward here.
Yeah, then we should
Yeah.
offer that as a way forward as
Yeah.
well. So that's good.
I think so.
Yeah. And I think like Andrea was saying, maybe just a simple form to kind of list what tools people are using. A Google form, maybe we pre-populate it and let people check, you know, which tools that they have in their CI/CD pipeline, just as a starting point to collect some high level information. And then, you know, we can then, like you said, drive into some more detail. It'd be great to be able to get pictures of people's pipelines. If there's an easy way to do that, to understand what tool's doing what in the pipeline. I don't know how to gather that information.
Yeah, it's something to think about. I think from a timing perspective, since again, the recording has to be done by Monday, it might be that if we want a somewhat more complicated form, I think Andrea and I are going to need some help to create that form. I don't think we will necessarily have time to do it. So either we set the ambitions a bit more or lower, or we work together on it. Either way is fine.
But I guess the form doesn't need to be there on Monday, right? You can
Oh,
paste
that's right.
the
That's
link
right.
to the form during the conference instead.
Yes, that is true. Or we can create, I guess we can create a short link that we can later repoint to something else. That's a good point. Very good point.
Probably.
Yeah, that sounds like a great idea.
Good.
Yeah.
So then
So one takeaway that we want people to have then is what we've just talked about. We want their input on like what the priority is for getting things to work together and how their flows look. Are there any other key takeaways that we want people to have from the presentation?
Like you said at the beginning, working on the glue. You know, so one is getting the information about what people are doing. Then second is how we take that information and implement it in the event side. And so it's kind of twofold. One is more fact gathering, other ones like how do you contribute, and what are the different areas you can contribute.
That's true, because I mean, at some point we will need to have a whole bunch of different projects adopt the SIG event specification and actually both send and receive messages according to that specification. And that will, of course, involve a whole bunch of different projects. So yeah, we can start to try to enthuse people into thinking in that direction as well.
Mm-hmm. So those would be the two main topics I would consider for the presentation. Well, third topic is explain what it is, what we're doing.
Yeah.
You know, that would be, so those are kind of like the three high level bullet points. Explain what we're doing, what we need from you, and how you can contribute.
Very good points. I'm just taking notes here.
All right. So it's what do we do? Why do we do it? And how to contribute, is that right?
What we do, what we need from you.
Oh, what we need from you, okay.
And then how to contribute.
Yeah, and I think one on the how to contribute, of course, if someone is available or willing to do it, I think we should mention that we are always open to presentations in the SIG events. I mean, if someone's willing to come and present their pipeline and say which tools they're using, which are the pain points, that's for sure something helpful, I think.
Yeah, so on kind of that could be a good instead of people writing down what they do, come give a basically come give us a demo of your pipeline, and we'll do all the note taking.
Yeah, definitely that could be an offer as well. It might scare some people, or at least I know a whole bunch of people who are really not fond of coming into an unknown group and presenting stuff. I used to be that way myself, and perhaps still am, but some people will really enjoy it. So I think we could offer that as well.
Yeah, and I think what we've found with like Ortelius is if you provide a calendar link to get on somebody's calendar to talk about just 15 minutes to talk about the project and get some more one-on-one time, I found that works really well. And we use it's called oncehub.com, and they have a product called Schedule Once, which is free. And basically it links your calendar to their site, and you can say, in the mornings or afternoons, I'm going to give a 15-minute time slot, and people could go self-schedule.
Yeah, that sounds nice. Speaking of things like that, it would be good, I think, to update the CD events GitHub repository README, not the repo README, the organization README, to include contact information. If that is not already there, I didn't really see it. But like, come talk to us on Slack or join the GitHub discussion or whatever channel we want to have for people who just stumble onto the GitHub project, because that link we will present in the presentation. And it would be good if that can be like the starting point for finding everything else until we have the events.cd domain.
You mean the
So it's
profile
basically
part of it, right?
the communication that I linked in the chat that we have in the CD Foundation.
Yeah, so we should make sure there's a link from the CD events organization to that information, I guess.
Oh. Sorry, Andrea, I boarded you there.
No, it's fine. I was just going to ask whether it's from the org page and the README that shows up in the org profile. If that's what.
Yeah, it's under this like .github repo. I think it's some magic.
Yeah,
The magic repo.
Okay, so.
Yeah, so it's in the profile folder in the .github directory. I think I created the first version of that file there. So it's called a profile for the organization in GitHub terms.
Another topic for this meeting, we don't have to be done with the presentation right now, but that I think, at least I would find a bit inspiring, is to say, okay, now we're in a new year, so let's make some new plans. And that is always exciting to see. Like, yeah, we mentioned last year that by, say, February some point, we would like to have something in place so that we can go out more strongly to a wider audience. And I think we discussed a little bit what we wanted to have in place for that, but I don't remember that much. There were some use cases that we wanted to enable, I think, or at least have written down.
Yeah, okay. Was that all then for the presentation, the Foston presentation, Eric and Andrea?
I don't have any other things in mind. Basically, the structure would be the intended structure. We will start with storytelling, then go on to introductions, talk about what is continuous delivery events, what is CD events, some use cases, and then what CD events can do for you, and the way forward, and wrapping up with some key takeaways and questions. That's the rough structure. That should be quite a good, I think.
Sounds great.
Maybe one question. I mean, I think we plan to show 2 use cases. And my idea would be to maybe have one use case which is specifically related to interoperability between tools. So tool X, Y, Z talking together, and the other use case more about like collecting information consistently across different tools, which are not necessarily talking to each other, like the 4 keys or metrics type of use case, if you will.
Right. Yeah, I think it's good to have those both those points in the presentation. Makes sense.
Okay.
It's only the first one, I guess. It's so well. The first one is more about interoperability than the other one, but in some sense, it's interoperability as well between a reporter environment or CI/CD system and its metrics collector or visualizer or whatever. So it's in some sense interoperability there as well. Sounds good. So will you exemplify with 4 keys specifically, or will you make it more generic? Is that maybe more for the KubeCon proposal you had, or?
I guess for KubeCon, it's more likely that since it is the DORA metrics, so to say, for this one, I don't have a strong opinion on it. It might be easy, but we could also say that basically anything that we want to understand about what the system is doing or where we are can be gathered up.
Yeah. Maybe not too many are familiar with the 4 keys, but DORA, maybe people are anyway familiar with them. Good. Should we move on then? I see someone pasted the link to the CDCon CFP.
Yeah, that was me. I just saw that I came across, and they are starting to open up call for papers on that. It's like middle of February, or I think is the closing date, but
yeah, there was
just
an
wanna
early
make sure
bird
we know
submission
that's
date
coming up.
already end of this month, I believe, right? Wasn't it? I remember now. The early birds January 28th. So if you want a fast track to get accepted, it should be done by end of January already. Yeah, of course we should have some events, presentations and discussions there. I saw that there was the CD events is mentioned as a project in focus for, I guess, all CDF projects are intended, but CD events was actually added there as well to the list. But that's good.
And I think we could reuse what we're I don't think we're going to need to stray from what we just do, what we're planning to do for FOSDEM. So folks, I have to drop off for another meeting. But it looks like we're moving along pretty good.
Okay, good talk to you. See you on Monday, maybe.
See you, Steve.
Yep. Cheers.
Bye. Bye. So in the link I pasted there, we can also see the suggested topics and the project focus, where CD events is mentioned as a project. That's quite good. I guess we'll discuss that more on SIG meetings as well. Who wants to create presentations and attend those things?
Is there work ongoing to add us to the projects list in the menu of the CD Foundation webpage?
Yes. There is a ticket, GitHub ticket for it. I found it
Right.
yesterday.
Yeah, I don't need to see it. I just want to make sure someone is on top of it.
I'm not sure anyone has taken on the task to actually do it, but I saw that there's a ticket for it. It was created by Oleg in early December. The ticket.
Hopefully once we finalize the logo. Easier to...
Right. So we can mention that as well. That we yesterday got a new proposal on the logo. The thing I pasted there now is just reference to add the information to the CDF webpage and everything. And about the logo, it's this one. So I see that Eric has already voted on it, and I as well. So if you have an opinion on what the logo should look like, please go there and have your say. I think we should try to finalize these discussions quite soon.
Yeah, at least we will want one logo to have in the presentation. We can pick the closest one that you think is going to win, but if we can settle it before then, that would of course be pretty nice as well.
Yes, I guess before Monday it might be hard to actually have it done.
Yeah, so let's not aim for that, but if we can have a little bit of more consensus or closer to consensus quite soon, that would be nice.
Yeah, I think you can maybe set it as a preliminary logo, the one that you and I, Eric,
top right one. Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, at least to me that's good. I don't know, Andrea and Matthias, have you looked into the proposals?
No, I'm looking right now. You said the top right one?
Yeah.
I was hoping to see a stacked version. Which is one of the
I assume that they will create a stacked version for us as soon as we have settled on the first version, maybe other broad version. I guess that's my guess.
I like the third one on the right side, which is connected. But yeah, the first one is also nice.
What is the difference between in the first row between the left and right hand?
There's slightly more distance between the stem of the D and the start of the waves. I had to go cross-eyed to see it, but it's like a 1 or 2 pixels difference.
Ah.
Yeah, I had a hard time seeing that as well. Andrea, which one were you referring to?
The third one on the third line on the right-hand side.
Yeah.
I like that
the bars is behind.
The D is not as tall as on the top one. And the waves connect to the C and the V. But yeah, it's just a slight preference for me, but I would be perfectly happy with the top one as well.
My issue with the third or to right of the third row is that the leftmost wave and the C, they form together the side profile of a head to me. You have the upper top of the head and then the ear at the bottom, which might be good or bad, but that's the only thing I can see when I look at that combination.
Yeah, so you might be showing different things, different people. So, yeah.
But we did comment on that initially we didn't want the D to be too long, but of the alternatives that we have right now, my favorite is still the top right one.
I'm also, as you said, Andrea, I'm a bit curious to how a stacked version would look when the text events is below the CD. what it would look like really, if it should be all centered or how it will be. So, and sometimes I actually also understand that the D, the stem of the D is quite high there, but yeah, whatever.
Yeah, yes, it's a bit difficult because the stem of the D is not in the middle of CDE, because maybe a stacked version could just shorten events to E, and then you add CDE and then the wave, and then it would look almost square, but the stem of the D is not in the middle, so it wouldn't be balanced.
I think we also requested a version with just the CD and not the events at all. I mean, more or less just an icon without any, but the CD is there because it's part of the. So I think I see you, Andrea, did a comment in the pull request earlier there, on having a way to have a very small logo without any text, really. And to me, that would be just the C and the D. Maybe similar to the Cloud Events logo. And they have a C in their logo.
It might end up being horribly unbalanced if we only have text to the right, sorry, to the left of the stem of the D. What I did just for my own experimentation's sake is I kept the CDE and I kept the E for events, but I made it bold and I also stretched it out a bit. It doesn't look good to have a stretched E, but at least it balances the whole logo so that it doesn't tip over to one side. I'm not sure if something clever can be done there in some way.
Yeah, that's along the lines I was thinking, but shouldn't be too different than from the full version.
Yeah, I also actually wanted the radios or the waves to be behind the text somehow, yes, as in the third line there to the right. But I think it's a bit cleaner. The first row, the logo there is a bit cleaner to look at. So unless you have different colors, I guess, on the waves and the text, which would make it easier, more stand out. Yeah, maybe we shouldn't spend more time on it here.
One tangentially related question, not to the logo, but to SIG Events as a whole. Will the plan for the next couple of months be to have this meeting as a SIG Events project meeting, or well, a SIG Events spec meeting, I guess, in some sense, and to have the other meeting as a SIG Events meeting, or should we set up a different SIG Events project meeting as well, just so nothing falls between the chairs, as you say?
Yeah, I think we at least said that the initial bootstrap committee for the SIG Events project will be the SIG in some sense. Maybe it should be more formal with some persons allocated to it, really, not just me and Andrea as chairs or something, but some more people actually more registered as bootstrap committee. And then I'm not sure, maybe we continue with the SIG meetings as the project meetings in some sense as well.
Yeah,
I think
that's fine. Yeah.
And then the vocabulary meeting should still be the more technical. So far there hasn't been there today, but where we discuss the protocol more in detail, so we don't stop evolving the protocol at the same time.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Because as we've seen today, it's very easy to take all the time to discuss more or less administrative things. And
but no, I think we have most of the administrative things in place that we need for the project itself. So hopefully we can sort of switch back to more spec related work as well.
Mhm. But it's a valid point, so we don't forget evolving the protocol. So how can we come to consensus on the logo then, if we just try to finalize that? Maybe pasting on chat, on Slack, an entry for people to look into it. And then should we aim to decide finally on Monday then, if one of the ones that we see today are okay or not?
Can I make just another suggestion for the logo? I was looking at the waves on the first column, on the third one. Sorry, the third line, first column.
Can you share your screen?
Yeah, maybe that's better. So this one, can you see my screen and my pointer?
Yeah, I see your cursor.
Yep.
Yeah.
So this one has a smaller wave. So the D is not as tall, but it has a different font. And I like the font on this one. So what about combining the two? So having the smaller, a slightly thicker wave, but with this font. So kind of combination of these two, this one and this one. Which I guess maybe it's like this, but these are different colors.
I think it would be really interesting to see that, how that would look, and it could definitely be a contender, I think, as well. Yeah, I think it seemed like the designer would appreciate exactly what you're giving now, like very concrete ideas, and yeah, take this, do this, this, and this. So if we can give them that, they might be able to come back a bit quicker than last time.
Yeah, I agree as well. I'm not sure about the thickness there. If the thickness of the waves should be the same thickness as the CD or the same thickness as events, but both could work fine, I guess.
I voted for, or I suggested having one where the waves are thinner, just to see how that would work. But maybe those two can form the base of a new set of proposals that would allow us to take things even further. And of course, I mean, we can always change the logo later. It's not like we're going to print 1,000 business cards tomorrow. So it's reasonably easy to switch things out if it's just small changes.
I guess a comment there regarding the balance between the letters and the waves and everything. If we would go for the third line, the C there is more to the left of the waves than on the first line. So it could be even more unbalanced, I'm afraid, if we go for the third line, right?
Yeah, that is true.
A bit. Maybe the waves could be a bit less dense.
Yeah, separate it apart a bit.
More separated on the third line. Even though they are thick, they could still be a bit more separated, so they could take more space and maybe be all the way out to the left of the C on the third line.
Do we know if the designer is using something like Adobe Illustrator or something like that to draw these logos? Then we could get the source files, because then we could at least mess around with things, and then we could give it back to the designer and say, can you do this, but professionally? Because trying to move these things, it's a bit annoying, because unless you have the separate components, it's quite hard to mess with it.
Yeah, I think it's a bit strange that we don't have the actual ticket that they are working on. I guess they have some kind of ticket or some kind of repository where they actually store these things themselves.
Yeah.
But maybe we don't have access to that.
Should we put in some kind of continue?
No, go ahead.
Should we put in some kind of example for a stacked version? so they know what we're talking about.
Probably good. Yeah.
Because it's pretty easy. I didn't know I wanted to paste in the chat, but I realized you can't paste pictures in this chat. But you can basically, I took the top right one and just screened up into Paint and removed some letters, and then I got a logo.
Could you paste it in the SIG Events Slack channel, maybe?
Yeah,
you
we
can
can
paste
do
it in
that.
HackMD, right, Matthias? In HackMD document, you can paste it if you like.
Oh yeah, I can do it. That's true.
It's possible to paste pictures there.
Ooh, nice. I didn't know that. Sounds fancy.
Yeah, so now there is a picture there.
I'm not sure if we should have the E. I mean, we haven't so far at least abbreviated CD events with CDE. I think, have we? That such an abbreviation could be interpreted in multiple ways. But I agree that it makes it more symmetric if we keep the E. But yeah. That's good.
Or I don't know if it's a good or bad idea, but wasn't one of the ideas to be called EV or something?
One of the tools listening to the events was EV, I think.
Yeah, because if you remove NTS from the end, you get CDEV.
Yeah.
But basically, if you want something balanced, you would need to keep both the E and the V. So maybe it's better to just to have your CD and events under if you want to do a stacked one.
Otherwise, you would pronounce it CDev, maybe, and not CDEV. If you keep the V as well.
Yeah.
I would pronounce it CDev. Yeah. No, I was thinking that the waves there could symbolize the events themselves. So then CD and the waves more or less makes it CD events. So you don't need E there, but
I wonder what happens in the stack log if we just remove the waves on the right side of the D. So the right side of the logo is the stem of the D, and then you have waves pointing left, and then you have the C under it. Or I can try that myself. It might work, but it might also not work.
it's not a broadcasting antenna anymore. It's a unicast or a limited cast somehow. But yeah.
Or we could replace delivery for something with starts with B and then we have a stem in the middle. We need to come up with a good word that starts with B.
Well, what should we replace? You mean? I didn't follow. Should we change the name of the program?
Yeah, it's just a joke.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now we got another one. Yeah. It's unbalanced, but I still think it's okay. Do you see it, Andrea? I can document. What's the difference between the second and the third?
Yeah, that's one that I
Oh,
was trying to do something, but I didn't manage there. That was a mistake. I wanted to do one another run.
Oh, yeah.
That was better.
right, with events underneath. Maybe that could be
If you would
scaled
left
down.
align, that is, if you would left align the C and the event E on the events, so the CD is just above events and not centered. Did that make it
I can try that.
prettier on the stacked version?
But I do kind of way
Seems weird.
actually like the that other one where you remove half of the stuff. It did actually. The last one there was actually kind of interesting.
It's very stylish in some sense. Very clean.
Yeah, and if we're supposed to follow, I know there's been logos redone, and people have complained so much about them because they're so simple. But maybe as an icon, and if you're having it small, then it might be easier having it very stylish.
Now you removed it, or?
Maybe Eric is working on something else.
Okay.
Yeah, it got so big. I'm
Yeah.
trying to make it smaller. I don't know how to do it.
Yeah.
Now it's better.
It's just a bit strange that all the events just go to the left. To me, that's a bit strange. It sounds like we most likely just send events to history and not to the future.
I absolutely see your point, and I'm not proposing this. I just wanted to see how it looks. My colleague suggested having, keeping the E, making it the same size and weight as the other letters to the left, and then nudging it slightly to the right so it feels a bit more balanced. I can give that a shot at some point to see how that would work. But it's going to be a bit hard to have the E like a little bit further away. People are really good at noticing those kerning issues.
And I'm not really sure what the CDE would be. Then we should maybe start using that abbreviation as well somewhere, or say that it's an official abbreviation of CD events. Say
People
CDE.
would think it's the one before CDF.
Yeah, the predecessor of CDF. Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice CDE. You can make it a small jingle as well with the notes.
A jingle? How? Do you want to sing?
CDE.
Okay, you mean like that? Yeah. Like the notes. Yeah. Do re mi. Yeah, we should call the protocol do re mi instead. And people don't understand at all what we mean. They need to learn music history, music theory before they can understand what it means.
Okay. Do you want to put some of these ideas for a stacked version in the GitHub issue as well? Just to, I mean, I think at least we have a good feeling about this font and this color palette. So we could say, okay, this is definitely the one, and we could have this proposal for stacked versions, and maybe we could yeah, say we're trying to make this. It doesn't look balanced, so maybe they have some idea on how to make it balanced.
The stack
Maybe
version is hard, I think. We should keep events there.
Yeah. I mean, we could give like 2 of the versions, maybe the second and the last one or something. And then say the second one is more fuller, but it's unbalanced, and the last one feels more balanced, but it's not. Yeah.
It feels incomplete as well.
Yeah.
Or incomplete.
But I agree that the big pro with the last one is the stylishness in it. It's simple and stylish. And I think it would do great as an icon because it's so simple.
Yeah, I agree, but I also think that the second one could actually be almost as stylish, or could be. It's almost as clean.
Okay.
But I think we should request a bit shorter stem of the D anyway, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyone, do you want to consolidate this feedback, Emil, maybe on the TCAT, or?
I think, Matthias, you have these examples now somewhere, most of them.
Well,
would volunteer to
not really in HackMD,
Oh, you didn't keep them. Okay.
but they're pretty easy to recreate if you want to.
Yeah. But anyway, I can be responsible for making sure that we add those. Might not be today, but tomorrow. Then. Sure.
All right. Getting there.
Yeah, hopefully soon.
But then the question is, Emil, for the landscape picture, do you
Yes.
want to use one of them as preliminary one? So we just have a logo and we can publish the landscape picture? Or do we want to wait until we have the final version?
I think there's always a risk of publishing some imageware, and people will start copying it and using it and whatever all over. Not least the CDF themselves, I think, will start using this logo if they just get their hands on one of them preliminary. They will start using it, and then we will have a hard time updating all those sites later on with the correct logo, I'm afraid. Is it such a rush to have it in the landscape? So we can't wait for the logo?
No,
That's good.
Or
I don't know.
Maybe we can skip the logo in the landscape, but there's some automatic check that requests the logo to be there. Then we should make it very visible that it's a preliminary logo.
Or ask Cara if she has some ideas around, or if there's a routine for adding a preliminary logo.
I doubt that there is.
I mean, it is to put like, yeah, I don't know. You could put the text preliminary over it.
Yeah, I was thinking about that as well.
I'll write drafts then.
I see we're out of time for today. We spent the whole meeting or half of the meeting discussing the logo, but it could sound useless, but I think it's quite important to have a good logo actually. I think it was worth it. So I will note something about this in the issue tomorrow. And if you have any more follow-up or if you don't agree or whatever, you can comment on it. And of course, we should reach out in Slack as well. And we can maybe do it as well, unless you already did. No. So I can do it on Slack as well when I added the proposal.
Great. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah. Thank you, and talk to you in
Thank
another
you.
meeting.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. See you.
Bye.
Bye.